Well, our next segment is brought to you by one of our bold partners, the Independent Women's Forum.
Yes, and Julie Gunlock from IWF is with us on Skype to discuss the new year and the resolutions that come with it. Hey, Julie.
Hey there. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, we want to start with an interesting article from The Atlantic titled, "It's the Most Inadequate Time of the Year." So can you tell us a little bit about the commodification of inadequacy?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a great piece in The Atlantic, and I encourage everyone to read it. And it talks about how, you can see right here, it talks about how brands are now sort of using the new year as a way to sell you products, and they very clearly say, look, it seems like resolutions are only about two things: getting thinner and getting richer. And so a lot of companies around this time will sell you products saying, look, if the fitness industry goes into overdrive around the new year, and sort of these get-rich-quick schemes, sort of pyramid schemes. Women are often attracted to these schemes, selling things out of your home so you can work from home and take care of your kids. They all go into overdrive. The idea being that if you really want to improve your lot in life, it's again getting thinner, getting fitter, getting richer. And this article talks about, look, the reason we used to have resolutions, the sort of genesis of New Year's resolutions was much more spiritual, much more religious. And when I think about this last year, when I spend 5 minutes on Twitter, I think, you know what? Maybe my resolutions could be being kinder, being more patient, listening, not always having a quick judgment on someone. I wish a little bit of more of our resolutions centered on that, improving our spiritualness, improving our treatment of others. I have a feeling that if we spent a little less time, planning our diets and our get-rich-quick schemes and really tried to improve the way we looked at life and the way we treated others, things might be better.
So, Julie, how can we actually avoid falling for these types of advertisements in the new year?
Well, look, I think one thing that's really important, and this is what I do as a career, is I write about reassuring people the world is okay. You are okay. We are hard on ourselves, and we're hard on sort of the world. We think that the world is falling apart. We think that, if you just talk to people about food and they say, oh, we're poisoning ourselves, our food system is broken. Actually, no, our food system, it can be improved, but it's going along pretty good. The agricultural system, there could be some improvements, but you know what? We're doing pretty good. And then I talk about, look at the statistics. We're living longer than ever before. Literacy is up. Poverty is down. Poverty is down worldwide. We're living longer than ever before, and we're living those years healthy. The world is actually improving. It's improving for everyone, and we need to be a little bit more positive about things. And hopefully this year in 2019, we can be a little less doomsday-ish and a little bit more positive about things.
And Julie, what do you think it is that fuels that idea? Because it's hard to escape that feeling. It does feel a lot of times like everything's falling apart. We're on the brink of disaster. And, it almost feels easier to say, well, I'm going to try to, not eat as many cheeseburgers this year than be like, I'm going to be positive in the face of
somebody.
this.
Right. Absolutely.
So, what do you think fuels that whole idea?
Well, just like New Year's resolutions are profitable for these companies to tell you, look, I've got the magic pill. Fear is also very profitable. There is nothing that nothing makes people sort of listen or stand up and watch or maybe click an article more than telling them you're about to die. And if you don't read this article, good luck.
Just might happen.
I truly think part of it is sort of ridding yourself a little bit of this noise, trying to stay off of maybe these sites that peddle this stuff. There's a lot of mom bloggers. There's a lot of so-called medical experts and health and diet gurus who peddle this idea that, for instance, you eat a cheeseburger, you're going to die tomorrow. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you need to limit your access to this stuff, and go to better sources. And again, remember that in general, the world is trotting along. We are doing well. Things are improving.
And so Julie, what advice would you give to a parent that wants to keep their children from feeling inadequate throughout 2019?
That's so hard. I think parents today are told, if you don't enrich their lives, if you don't hover over them, if you spend thousands of dollars every couple months on some sort of class or some sort of book series, or don't let them watch TV, or don't ever let them watch a game or play a game. There's so much information out there that make parents feel inadequate. And what I would say to all parents is trust your instincts. I parent a lot like my mother parented. I trust my instincts. I know in general what's good and bad for my kids, and I really try to limit my exposure to so-called parenting experts who are usually more expert in giving me anxiety than giving me any useful parenting advice. There's my dog. Sorry.
Hey, Pupper. Julie, we also want to ask you, what are some of the good sources, the places that we should be flocking to keep our minds enriched and, to just feel like it's going to be okay and we have resources to help us?
I always really try to use sources that are medically based. So, for instance, if there's a food blogger and she has some training in nutrition, if she's a nurse, a doctor, I really try to keep things science and evidence based. That said, there are some folks out there, for instance, with the medical, letters after their name, like Dr. Oz, who I consider a very bad source of information. But I think that what is really critical is the more hysterical a source becomes, if they say things like, never let your child eat a goldfish cracker, or never ever let your child have food. This is not helpful. This is not good. Normal people have busy nights and order a pizza. So I think the most important thing is, and what I find in sources is the less hysterical they are, the better information they can provide.
That's great advice. Well, thank you for joining us, Julie Gunlock from IWF, and Julie's adorable puppy too.
Absolutely.